Well, hey everybody, how y'all doing today? Welcome to another edition of Step Chat. It's me. For those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Steve Jones. I'm the executive producer of Float. My head is not normally this lopsided. I've just got weird hair. Not happy about it. But you know, we all have those days, right? Let's see here. Matt Russell got in first today. Once again, hello, Mr. Russell. Good to see you. Hi, Dory. Nice to see you. I think it's funny. I think Matt just kind of like tries to get on first and say hi, and then he disappears. I'm just kidding. Good to see you, Matt. Hello, Sherry Richards. Nice to see you, too. Sorry, the shameless plug for my own personal company. My co-company, I should say, with Lexa. But yeah. Hello, Dina. Nice to see you. Yeah, these mugs are kind of a funny situation. Hello, Celeste. Right before COVID, one of our biggest client came to us and basically insisted that we create some kind of tchotchke to give away to their employees as prizes for a new campaign they were launching. And basically, hello, Debbie Levy. And basically what they were going to do is they were going to, it's like every month they were going to recognize employees. And they wanted us, initially they wanted us to give basically like $50 to $100 worth of balloons a month to these winners. And I'm like, that's a lot of stuff. So I thought, well, what can we do? So we got 100 mugs, right? Then COVID hit. Then that whole thing went right out the window. So, there you go. Hopefully I just made Debbie Levy proud. So, yeah, I hope you guys are, I hope most of you are starting to get back to a semi-sense of normal. I know that I know a lot of you around the country have completely opened up, and a lot of you around the world have opened up. We here in Washington State have not completely. Phase 3 begins tomorrow. Phase 3 is larger, actually, I think up to 200 people at an event, I think. Restaurants are allowed to be at 50%. The gyms are allowed to be, doing a bunch of stuff. So, yeah. Hey, Tristan, good to see you. Dory, I guess I made you laugh with my thing. Yeah, so, and our internet traffic and our foot traffic and our phone traffic have definitely gone up as a result. I've sent 2 invoices today to the Mariners for, thank God, because last year we didn't do opening day, obviously, because of COVID. And we weren't supposed to this year either. They actually wrote it off and said, yeah, we can't do it. But then when the governor announced phase 3 was starting tomorrow, they rushed together like, okay, what can you do? What can you do? I'm like, we'll figure it out. We'll help you. So there you go. Hello, Angela. Hello, Hannah. How are you guys? Good to see you. Yeah, well, Tristan's like phase 4 is here tomorrow. Yeah, I should be clear. Every state has a different set of phases. Illinois, for example, where Float is, they're in phase 4 now. But see, like, for example, phase 4 in Lombard is up to 50 people at an event or something. And then phase 5 is, back to normal. That's a big jump from 50 people to back to normal. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm betting on the fact that Illinois and Lombard and a lot of places are going to have like phase 4.1 or 4.2, where they kind of, or 4A, where they kind of go up a phase, but not completely. Hey, Christy, how are you? What's up? What's up, girl? What's up? So yeah, it's, yeah, so I'm excited about that. I do want to warn everybody, though. We're not done yet. One of the things that Pete Carroll, who's the head coach of the Seahawks, one of his big things that he likes to say all the time to the team is, you don't win games in the first quarter, you don't win games in the second quarter, you don't win games in the third quarter. The football game is won in the fourth quarter. So it doesn't matter how crappy the first 3 quarters are. You got to finish the game strong. And as long as you can win the game in the fourth quarter, right? We're in the fourth quarter. And the problem is, I feel like a lot of people have already, hey, we won. No, we're not done yet. I mean, there's countries in Europe that are about to lock down again because, they're getting the vaccine, all that stuff's happening, but people have just completely thrown all the other stuff out the window. There's still things we got to think about. As much as I hate to say it, getting vaccinated, which I still have not gotten back. I don't qualify yet in the state of Washington. I know some of you think I'm older than dirt. I'm actually 52, and right now the cutoff is 60. 60 and up to get a vaccine. I technically, hey Susie, technically I have what are called I think they're called comorbidities, whatever it means. Basically 2 health risks. Really, it's just one, but according to the BMI report, I have 2. It's fine. Hello there, guys. What's up? Hey, T-Money. Good to see you. Glad to see you. Hope you enjoyed your gig. Dalnita, nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a long time out here. Thank you for joining us. So I just want to remind everybody, keep it safe. We're not comorbidities. Thank you, Debbie Levy. Thank you. You're not done yet. So remember to win the game in the 4th quarter. If you're vaccinated, that's great. Still think about, for example, they're saying to you that if you've been vaccinated, you should you can be without a mask with people that aren't vaccinated, or that people that have been vaccinated. So, I would really encourage you to think about these kinds of things before you just up and start doing stuff. But again, I know you're going to do what you're going to do, and that's fine. Hey, Andres, good to see you. Hello there, Priscilla. Right, Flavia, right. My friend qualified because she's heavy. Technically speaking, according to the BMI chart, is it BMI? I think it's, body mass index. According to the BMI, at 190 pounds, I'm like scarily overweight, which I really don't think I am. But according to the BMI, that chart, and because I have asthma, ding, ding, counted it twice. And they keep moving up the dates here in Washington State, fortunately. They're actually, apparently I'm going to be eligible now on my own with the 2 comorbidities to get a vaccine, I think March 31st. So, but, of course, I'm probably going to start calling around to Walgreens and those places to see if they have anything left over sooner. Because March 31st, we're going to be hit deep in Mariners balloons, and I'd like to get it done for them. So I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you're starting to get busy. If you're not busy, if you are busy, I hope you're able to keep up. I think it's great. You can definitely tell that life is getting back to normal on Facebook because, during COVID, see, I have no life. So for me, COVID was kind of a nice thing because it meant that people were actually online Fridays and Saturdays and most of Sundays. Now it's a ghost town now for the most part on the weekends. But that's okay because, it means people are working again. It means jobs are. I know that T-Money had a whole bunch of gigs this weekend. Good for you. I'm very proud of that. Yes, and that's correct, Debbie Levy. You're technically speaking, even with a vaccine, you're supposed to continue wearing masks in public and all that stuff. And it's because of the fact that if you're still walking around with it, yes, it's not affecting you, but it can still affect other people. And so, and that's something I still firmly believe in. So it would just be nice for once to be able to actually, sit in front of other people. There's only 2 people. Hello, Miss Stephanie. Good to see you. There's only 2 people in the course of my current existence that I can comfortably sit in front of without a mask on. One of them is Alexa Rivera because we work together every day and we both know exactly what we do. When she goes home, if she has to stop somewhere, she tells me what's going on or whatever. When I go home, if I have to stop somewhere, I tell her what's going on. We've agreed not to put ourselves at risk, that kind of a thing. So it's not, so we're fine. And then the other one is Aphrodite. Aphrodite is my adult niece who has a ridiculous immune deficiency situation. she's hospitalized probably 3 to 4 times a year without COVID because of her condition. And but she also knows that she's, after seeing us, because the first few times she would come here, she'd be masked and we'd all be masked and blah, blah, blah. And then she realized how ridiculously careful we were being. And so she's perfectly fine coming here and interacting with us. So that's good. But those are the only people that I've actually been around without a mask on in a year now. Kind of crazy. So, yeah, Jackie, I'm so sorry that you pretty much now, Jackie, being up in Canada, what are you guys having more issues or new issues, or just they're just playing it even safer and not doing anything? I'd be curious to see that. So while Jackie's responding, I'm going to get to my cheat sheet here, and let's talk about float stuff. So let's start off with the foundation. First of all, for those of you that took Melissa Vinson's class on graduation, you have until Friday to watch the free replay. Okay? Your last day is Friday. It's been 3 weeks. It's been a glorious 3 weeks. I'm sure you've enjoyed it. But that free time is coming to an end. So make sure that you take advantage. The emails have been sent. They've been sent several times. You got the initial one. You got a 2-week one. You got another one on Friday. And I think there's another one going out Wednesday morning, reminding you that, hey, you're almost out of time. So make sure you take advantage of that. One person reached out to me and asked about the $5 option and the discount code, because they were like, hey, how come we didn't get a 33% discount this time on other videos? You will. The difference is that it's going to come with that 1 week period. It's not, I'm sorry, excuse me. It's not going to come with the, we're not doing it in the 4 week period anymore. We're doing it in the 1 week $5 period. So the 33% discount coupon will be available for you next week. We're actually starting Saturday. Okay. So if you took Melissa's class, there you go. New strains on the rise. Ontario starting a 3rd wave and barely out of the 2nd. Yeah, they've been taught. Yeah, the new. Thank you, Jackie, for that, by the way. Yeah, the new strains are definitely up and about. I was watching something very interesting the other day, though, and they were actually talking about there was a virologist that was actually saying this is why we should be excited about the fact that there's more and more variants. And I was like, really? What's up with that? But it's because of the fact that with more and more variants, as a virus tends to mutate like this, with each mutation, they tend to get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And so that's kind of the hope is that COVID is actually, because it's not finding all the, because it's not just transmitting the way it's supposed to be, it's creating new versions of itself, but at the same time, it becomes actually weaker as it might be more easy to catch, but it has less of an effect on your body. At least that's what they're saying. So I'm hoping that's what the case is. Then again, for all we know, it's the media and everything. Right, there you go, Matt Russell. Yep, easier to catch, but same thing. Oh, okay. So what Jackie's saying is in Toronto, they're concerned because of the numbers. If they open up too quickly and the vaccine rollout's not quite there, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that does make perfect sense. Originally here in Seattle, or in Washington State, my original, they were saying that I personally would not be eligible for a vaccine until probably May or June, by the way I would fall into it. Now, mind you, I was saying all along that they weren't taking the Johnson & Johnson vaccine into account, right? They were just basically based on the numbers they had then. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the call, it's already up to March 31st now. I'm actually eligible. So, yeah, there's that. So, we'll see. So, I will say that the rollout's been pretty good here in the U.S. So, we'll see. Yeah. And I haven't seen an update lately on Lombard, so I don't know where exactly Lombard is in this whole their phase right now. I need to check that. I was going to check it today. Flavia, here everyone qualifies by May 1st. Yeah, I think that's what they're working on. Okay, I'm sorry. They're saying everyone qualifies by May 1st. That is contingent that there's enough vaccine for everyone prior to that. So, there's a lot of promises that are made. Now, hopefully it'll happen. Believe me, nothing would make me happier, especially with Float. The more people that can get vaccine, the easier things would be. Hey, good job, Paul. Glad to see that. And I'm still getting requests from people, or not requests, but I'm still getting questions from people about masking at Float. We don't know, and we're not gonna know until November. So we're planning on it. I mean, we're planning on. I mean, we're ordering masks for everybody. I mean, we're doing that. Whether or not you'll need to wear them is another story, but I don't want to wait till the last minute and not be able to get them. So, all right. So I got sidetracked. So your last chance for Melissa's free replay is Friday. Okay. Then after that, you will have your 1 week period to get your video copy at $5. Okay. And that's again for those people that enrolled in the class. If you did not enroll in the class is available for sale for you starting on Saturday. Okay. So there's that. Debbie Levy, I also just heard that after 2/3 of the country are vaccinated, there'll still be about a third who refuse to be vaccinated. That is correct. That is correct. They've been saying that since the beginning. They anticipate about 1/3 of the population will not get vaccinated. And that 1/3, it just means that herd immunity will take longer. But the belief is that entire third will get COVID if they haven't already had it. There's a lot of people that are not getting the vaccine because they've already had COVID. And they already think, well, I've already got immunity, so I don't really need the vaccine. I don't know that that's accurate. I just know that that's what a lot of mentality is right now. Plus, on top of that, you have a lot of people that are just concerned about the science involved with creating a vaccine this quickly. I, on the other hand, don't. I firmly believe that I don't believe for 1 second that they cut the corner short to where they would just, I just don't believe it. So I think there's something there to be done, and it's fine. If I'm lucky, I will get the second shot in December. We're doing 4 months between shots. Wow. Wow, that's interesting. Well, Jackie, if there's a way you can get here, I'll bet you I can get you in. All right, so there's that. Okay, next up, Tuesday, this past Tuesday, was our class with the one and only Jeff Kelly of Asset Lab. Jeff's class was, in a word, amazing. There was a lot of great stuff in that class. If you missed it, it's okay, because guess what? The free replay for that started last week. So you now have basically just under 4 weeks left to watch the replay. If you are pre-registered for Float, which means if you've either began the payment plan or fully paid, as a delegate, you got access to the class. So there you go, boom, you're in. So it was a really good class. It was really good stuff. Again, when Jeff and I were talking about the class, I said, the one thing that I cannot stand, about free classes is that 9 times out of 10, there's nothing in the class. It's a sales pitch. The entire class is they give you one sliver of a nugget, and then it's like, oh, and for the rest of my knowledge, come sign up for this program. I mean, there's people in our industry doing it every day. It's just, I hate that stuff. It's. I'm not saying everybody doing that's that way. I'm just saying I just don't like it because it never is. So when I talk to Jeff about the class, I'm like, look, it's got to be content driven. You got to make sure there's stuff to give away. Now, mind you, when I met Jeff, that I told this in the class, this is how I met him. I met him at a free class, how to boost your website. Because at the time I was doing it. And we were so impressed, Alexa and I both were so impressed with his presentation and the amount of knowledge that he was giving out in that class that we both realized, wow, this dude kind of knows what he's doing. So why don't we hire him to do our website? And then there you go. So it was great. So that class, the free replay is going on now. You have 4 weeks to watch that class. Yeah. So, and I will say that ever since we switched from the 2-week to the 4-week, the number of requests to, can you extend it? Can you listen? Has dropped to almost nothing, which is good because that was the point. So, yeah, remember the free replay on the class is 4 weeks. It's in the email. I don't remember the date myself. I want to say it's April. It's April something. It's in the email. I will say some of you are killing Aphrodite, though, as you would have normally killed me. Because she had a dozen emails the other day. I don't understand how to access this class. And they're replying to the email with all of the instructions. I mean, like half of the emails are like, I can't find the link to access the class. And at the very bottom, it's click here to stream Jeff. You got to read. That's just all I can say. You got to read. I can't do this for you. And we're kind of getting to the point where we don't want to do it for you anymore. You guys run businesses, and you wouldn't tolerate this kind of behavior from your own clients. So read the information that's sent to you. Okay, so there's that. Now, our next class is in April with the power couple of Shannon and Razia Lamberts. Very excited. You saw Roz last year at Float because she was on the women's panel. And you saw Shannon last year at Float because he was on the security team. Well, this year, they are teaming up together to present a Float Foundation class for us in April. They apparently do an absolute ton of personalization using the vinyl covers. And so they're going to be doing an entire tips and tricks class on which brands they prefer, which transfer paper they use, all that kind of stuff. Quick tips to make things better, ways to get better resolution on your pictures, all kinds of things like that. I'm really excited about that. Matt Russell, maybe there should be a class on reading at Float. It is fundamental. So enrollment, is going on for that right now. If you want to take Razia and Shannon's class, you would sign up at the Orange Store. So it's floatconvention.com/orange-store. So, or just go to floatconvention.com and look for the button that says visit the Orange Store. So there you go. You can sign up for that right away. Enrollment for that goes on until April 18th. So you've got a few weeks to get signed up for that, but don't put it off. Do it now. If you're in the forum, if you're a member of the forum, look for the graphic of Shannon and Roz's picture there, and that's where the discount code is. Because again, remember, if you're pre-registered for Float 2022, you get $10 off the class using the coupon code. So remember that. But yeah, that's the thing. So there's all that. So thank you all very much for that. I do want to remind everybody too that we have a new contest going on, and there's only about a week left to enter. The deadline is March 29th, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a week from tomorrow. And as of right now, we've received 4 entries, and all 4 of them are in one category, which means that there's still 2 categories without anybody entered yet. So it is our Channeling Your Inner Bunny competition. Dina, thank you. I can always count on you to put that link there in the comments. Thank you very much. So remember, there's 3 categories. The first category is the best bunny sculpture, right? So it is an actual full dramatization of a bunny. The second one is the best use of a bunny-shaped balloon in your decor. So in other words, if you've got access to the bunny heads, or you've got a bunny or whatever, and you do, let's just say you're doing a marquee, right? You whip this whole thing up, blah, 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 and there's an Easter bunny in it. That counts. Let's say you've got a really stylish bouquet and a floating bunny in it. That counts. What does not count is a round balloon or a shaped balloon with a bunny printed on it. It's got to be a bunny-shaped balloon. I know they're a little hard to come by right now, but there's stuff out there. I saw stuff today. You could still get at least one bunny-shaped balloon somewhere and get stuff going. So get your content center. And then, of course, the third one is Essence of Bunny. And many people have asked, what the hell is Essence of Bunny? In the rules, Essence of Bunny clearly states that it creates the illusion of a bunny. So, for example, if you've got an arch with bunny ears on it, and that's all it is, that is considered Essence of Bunny. Maybe you've got something with the little whiskers or whatever going. Essence of Bunny, that's fine. As long as you can tell it's intended to be a bunny, but it's not a direct representation of a bunny, then it counts. Okay? So those are the three categories. Remember, too, a free micro air inflator is going out courtesy of our friends at Premium Balloon Accessories to the winner in each category. So remember. Yep. Remember. 4 entries, 1 category so far. Got a week. Get them in. Rules are at the contest page on the Float website. So if you go to floatconvention.com and you go to more, hit the more button, scroll down to contests. There you go. And it's actually floatconvention.com/contest-page. So there's that. Okay. So, the next thing up right is 1 million bubbles. We are just over a month away from the next installment of 1 million bubbles. And you're going to start seeing a lot of traction about 1 million bubbles in the next coming weeks. A lot of people, though, so I was under the impression that the link would be working. And all the information's been updated, but apparently there's still some issues with the sign-in or to get signed up. So just do me a favor, give it a day, maybe even give it till Tuesday, then sign up, okay? I apologize. Again, remember, Jeff and his crew are doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They're volunteering their time on the 1 Million Bubbles website. So as a result, and they're trying to get something fixed in it to make their lives a lot easier, as opposed to what they're doing now, which is a lot more complicated. So just there you go. I was also, and Dina, thank you again for doing that. There's the link in the group once again from Dina. Yeah, I was actually really surprised. Today, I made a post in one of the groups about, for creating an event for 1 Million Bubbles. And one of the people jumped in and said, I've been doing it every week since. Like, that's fantastic. That's great. I mean, that's just wonderful. But I do want to remind everybody about something, though. Is there a theme for 1 Million Bubbles or just dealer's choice? Dina, there is no theme. There is no theme for 1 Million Bubbles. I will say, though, there is one thing that we are asking everybody to do. Well, there's a couple things we're asking everybody to do. There's 4 basic stipulations to 1 Million Bubbles. Number 1, no balloon releases. Obviously, do not, please, dear God in heaven, don't release balloons into the heavens. Don't do it. Number 2, this is not a monetization project. Okay? I had one person reach out to me and like, oh my God, I just came up with the greatest idea for 1 Million Bubbles. I'm going to reach out to all my corporate clients and have them sponsor a garland for $99, and then I'm going to donate it over here. No. 1 Million Bubbles is not about trying to generate revenue for your business directly. 1 Million Bubbles is about you doing something really good for other people and giving you the ability to market your business. Does that make sense? So, no, please don't go out and solicit money for this. That's not what the point of this is. Okay? And if you are, you're not part of the project. So just keep that in mind. Okay? We're not going to go there. Number 3, if you're putting your balloons outside, if you're putting your balloons somewhere in a public place, or if you're putting it in front of your business or your home or whatever, please be responsible. Keep an eye on it. Don't just build something and ditch it somewhere, okay? Don't just put something up in the town square and then leave it. You got to be responsible about this project. You've got to check back on it. You got to make sure it's in good condition. You got to make sure nothing's been torn apart and there's crap laying everywhere. We don't need to give people the wrong impression of this project, right? So if you're going to do it, make sure you're responsible about keeping up with it and take care of it and disposing of it when it's done. And finally, the last thing about 1 Million Bubbles, when this whole thing started, COVID was not a political issue. And in fact, there really weren't any political issues going on. It was about, COVID, it was just about making people happy. So please, please, please leave your politics out of the project. It is not intended to convince people to your particular point of view. The point of this project is to build something that brings people just joy, okay? It doesn't have to be anything more than a giant heart, and then people take it for how they will, right? It doesn't have to be anything of that nature. I mean, just keep your politics out of the project, please, please, okay? That's all I'm all asking. I don't think it's that big of a reach. I don't. I know that when we first started, the message was, stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. I get all that, but it's because it was created during the lockdown. Our business has evolved, COVID evolved, we evolved, right? So the project will evolve as well. So let's keep it completely neutral of anything that could potentially alienate somebody else. I am well aware that we're going to alienate people just by making it out of balloons. I don't care about. But let's try to keep it friendly and fun and upbeat, and there you go. All right. I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this tonight or not, but I am. I think I'm going to pull the trigger on it. I've had a few phone calls. I know the amount of work this is going to take to get done between now and then, but I think we're going to do it. Well, no, because if I say we're going to do it tonight, then we're going to do it. So I'm going to say we're going to do it. Okay. So one of the things that, all right, okay. When you come to Floaty, when you leave the convention, you will be issued the official Float calendar. There, said it. It's done. It's out in the universe. There it is. All right, so let me explain. I'm sure unless you're living under a rock, everybody knows that our friends at Qualitex this year did not produce a calendar. And I was kind of shocked by the response that people had. What's interesting is, I'm very surprised that it just doesn't seem to get a whole lot of people. I was kind of surprised by the number of people that were openly angry about this, that they weren't producing a calendar this year. And I was like, really? Why are you angry? It's free. Why? I don't understand why, that's a problem. And a lot of people were really upset and really angry about not getting this calendar. And so, and I remember even talking to some people saying, well, how upset did you get about Metallic not putting out a calendar? Well, Metallic doesn't make a calendar. I know. That's my point. Did you yell at them for not making a calendar? No, I didn't know. What about Anagram? Did you get upset with Anagram because they didn't make a calendar? No. But you're upset that Qualitex didn't make a calendar. So I will say that I do feel to a big degree that was unfair. Yeah, Matt, you're right. You are correct, Matt. You are correct about that statement, but that's called spin, right? We all know that. We all do it. Everybody does it. So, and then I thought to myself, okay, you know, I need another project like I need another hole in the head. But float a calendar, let's be very honest. A calendar is, in this industry, a tremendous piece of long-term marketing, right? Because at the end of the day, you put it on the wall. I mean, right now, Alexa, okay, so somebody gave Alexa a calendar. It's a balloon calendar because we didn't have a Qualitex one to put up this year. And honestly, the calendar, I mean, I'm looking at the picture for March. There's leaks in it. It's not even that good of stuff. The stuff in it looks almost half finished, and some of the balloons are actually leaking in the photo. I'm like, they printed this? But I digress. The point is that we talked about the possibility of creating a calendar at Float. And then, of course, it would have to go from Float to Float because it doesn't make sense to end in January of next year when there's no Float in January of next year. There is of this year, you know what I mean? From 2022 to 2024, it wouldn't make sense to end in January 2023 when there's no new source to get the calendar. And Lord knows I'm not shipping them all over to everybody. So the idea was, okay, let's make it a 24-month calendar. So that's what we're doing. And what we're going to do, one of the things that we're going to do is now mind you, unfortunately the individuals that do really well aren't going to benefit from this tremendously, at least not right away. But like, for example, at this coming convention, we're going to have multiple people doing photography of the sculpture competitions this year. And the winners of each category would automatically get a month in the next calendar. Now, again, you wouldn't necessarily see your stuff till 2024, but it would be there. So the winner of sculpture, the winner of this, the winner of that, you want to do it. Matt, that would be wonderful. I would be willing to. Okay, so Flavia, there you go. What images are going to go into it? So that would make up basically 5 or 6 months right there. Ideally, more than likely, you would have, the manufacturer sponsors would probably get to select a photo. But I wouldn't want it to be, it's not a photo that I would want that's not related to the convention. So in other words, maybe they're instructor teaching, or maybe if they're doing final night, it might be their, the DHE, right? Because remember, this year we actually have sponsors are buying out the night. I don't know if I've even mentioned that here or not. I thought I did. For example, our friends at Metallic have sponsored opening night. So opening night is all Metallic this year. Our friends at Gemar are sponsoring the brand new Monday Night Beach Party, which I am so excited about. Our friends at Qualitex are sponsoring the Designer Awards Gala. So it's all Qualitex at Designer Awards Gala. So I will say that I'm a little concerned about that method. Because if you've been to Float long enough, you know that when we had, say, 3 manufacturers in the ballroom for final night, the ballroom was a lot fuller. There was a lot more decor in the room. But it's just one manufacturer in the room, tends to be a little more sparse. There's like a lot of focus on the stage, a lot of focus on the entrance. There's centerpieces. There's not much else. So I'm really hoping that we're going to kind of get people out of that mentality and be like, okay, now what are you doing on here? What are you doing here? What's being done? What's being done here? Right? That kind of thing. So more than likely what would happen is those photographs would go into the calendar somewhere. We would also be more than happy to more than likely the winning photos from the photography contest would go in there. I mean, that sounds perfectly logical as well. So, and of course, the idea would be that float delegates. But the only way to get a photo in the calendar is if you're supporting float. So if you're not, you can't just randomly send me a picture and go, can I submit this to the calendar? Did you come to float? No, you can't. It's another benefit that we're offering our attendees to show support. And we're talking about a variety of different fun things to do in the calendar. Obviously, I mean, it would basically run from float to float. So the calendar would be 24 months. So I'm really excited. It might actually be 25 this time. I hate to say it, but I don't know that our hotel is going to have dates for us in January. With the COVID backups and everything that people are experiencing, yeah, I don't know that we're going to be able to put float in 2024 in January. It might have to be after Valentine's Day in February. I may not have a choice. So this is one of the lovely experiences that a lot of people in the event world are facing right now. With all the events being backed up, now it's harder and harder to schedule stuff out. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. And I'm really kind of excited because, like, for example, one of the things that I really want to put in there, so with Teresa Harding on the show here tonight, Laurel Schultz, could one page be a collage of 1 Million Bubbles projects? Girl, get out of my head. Yes, absolutely. We've actually talked about that. Because 1 Million Bubbles is part of the float. I'm sorry. 1 Million Bubbles is part of the Floativerse. So it's the charitable effort from the convention. So yeah. And the new logo, if you've noticed, it's the new logo for 1 Million Bubbles is the float balloon with a different complete look to it. So yeah, by all means. I mean, I love the fact that we could do that completely. And it also means, though, that we would also be announcing in advance the 1 Million Bubbles dates. For those of you that watch T-Money's show, Teresa's show on Monday nights, she always does the news segment. And in the news, she's got all these quirky holidays. Well, one of the things we're thinking about doing is, T-Money's picks of the month and like which goofy holiday she wants to highlight all over the place through the calendar. That could be really fun to do. And then, of course, too, the calendar would be full of, here's Float Friday, and here's your deadline of when you need to do this by, and here's your deadline of this. And it means that I actually have to look way ahead and start planning up, but it can only make things better, right? So, and this would be free. This would be a gift from us to you at the convention. So, we're kind of hoping to offset some of the costs, of course, with sponsorship. But we have to be careful how we do it, because the intention is, I don't want this to become a flagrant ad, right? So it's just one of those things where we have to kind of figure out how we would work that in. But yeah, I think there's ways to do, and there's ways to do it. But so. And if we can't find a way to fairly do it, or we can't find a way to really do it to where I think it's worth it to do it, then we'll just eat it. We'll just do it ourselves. Because I do think it's something that people seem to really would like. And for those of you that are wondering, I did have a conversation with Qualitex about this before I brought it up here. So it was really important to me, because I reached out to him and I said, look, I am very well aware that you did not invent the marketing calendar, but I also know that in our industry, that has become kind of iconic with your brand. And as a result, I don't want to step on your toes. I don't want to alienate you or upset you. How would you feel if Float did this? And their response was, we're not going to stop you from doing it. Go ahead and do it. So there you go. And again, it's not going out like, again, it's not going out to every single balloon person in the world. It's going out to, several hundred people who come to Float, which, by the way, we're already at 400. Now, keep in mind, when I say 400, that's 400 complete people so far. That includes sponsors, that includes teachers, that includes staff, and that includes paid delegates. So yeah, right now we're already at 400. Our biggest number to date was 525. So they totally dropped the Flavia. They dropped the ball, but I understand why they did it. Um, it's hard. I don't. I don't. It's hard to say whether they dropped the ball. I mean, you could look at it and go. You could see that. I mean, clearly there was a lot of negative backlash that I'm sure they didn't expect. Um, oh, Shawnee, I missed it. Thank you, Shawnee, for the 37 shout out on the numbers there. Um, yeah, I don't think they could have anticipated that. In fairness, um, but to me, it's kind of like, okay, so here at the shop, we've been doing like the outdoor displays, like a 1 million bubbles esque thing to promote the business, right? So we would put like a display outside and put it up, and we got a phone call in December wanting to know, when are you putting up your December photo op? And I'm like, oh, we're not. Well, why not? And I'm like, well, there's several reasons right now why not. I mean, the weather is not conducive. I said, plus, I mean, because remember, it doesn't snow here, it rains here. So, and what we've seen is the rainier and rainier it gets, the fewer and fewer people show up to take pictures. Just makes sense, right? But at the same time, if you remember in December, we were going through a lot of shortages. And the shortages were just now starting to come out, right? And so we were afraid that if we built something big and dramatic, we may not be able to replace the product. So we just kind of sat on it and didn't do it. You could hear the disdain in their voice that we weren't doing something. And it's like, really? This is something we're doing for free. Now obviously it's intended to promote the business, but it is something that costs us money, and it's something we're doing that, and technically speaking, you don't even have to pay to enjoy it. You just show up and take pictures. So why is it a problem we're not doing it? And I think that's how you should probably look at the situation. I think you should look at it from the same eyes. I think you should look at it, if you were going to do something nice for your community, and then one day you decided just not to do it anymore for whatever reason, and then people get mad at you for not doing it, kind of the same thing. So, yeah, I agree. In the end, it turned out to be a pretty big, you know, um, but at the same time, I don't know that I have a really hard time about it. And Debbie Levy brought up a good point too. They stopped printing their catalog the same year, and they got backlash from that as well. I I don't. I personally don't really understand why the physical catalog is even an issue. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've taken myself off the Uline catalog list, and yet every week it seems I get a complete catalog from Uline, like constantly being sent catalogs after catalog. Dude, stop. I can go online and look up what I need. Stop doing that. I don't have bookshelves enough for the Uline catalogs that they send. My God. Um, so yeah, I don't really understand why there's even really much of a need for a physical catalog in that regard anymore. I do know it's a little bit easier to find things in a book form than it is online. So, I mean, sometimes finding stuff I will say that sometimes if you don't know the exact model number you're looking for, it can be a pain in the butt to find on the websites. But it is what it is. I think it's better than not, and those can get updated much faster. But I know that yeah, I know that like for example, my local wholesaler is MSR, and it's just so funny because by the time they used to do an annual calendar, or not, I'm sorry, an annual catalog, and by the time the catalog was done, like 20% of the balloons aren't even available anymore, and so they just stopped, and now they just do like a quarterly thing, or like a every other month production that goes out. Okay, here's what we got now. Boom, that kind of a thing. Because it's just, they're right. It's just not worth it when you look at the upkeep and everything that goes on. So I honestly have to say, Sherry, I agree with you. As much as I like the company you line, I do. I like the company. I still can't believe they keep sending catalog after catalog after catalog, catalog. It's just insane. Um, but I guess it works for them because it must, or else they wouldn't do it. I would think the shipping alone would be killing them. But my God, that or they must be doing way better than I could ever imagine. So, so there you go. Yes, we are going to be producing an actual physical calendar starting in at Float 2022. So I hope you look forward to that, and I hope you're excited about it. And once I know more about it, I will post more about it. There is one other thing I do want to address real quick. I've been kind of rambling tonight. There is one more thing I'd like to address really quickly, and that is I want you to start thinking about the Floaty Awards, which we give away at Float at opening night. Floaty Award, for those of you that don't know, the Floaty Awards are basically, they're a photo submission contest that we have every convention. And for a lot of people that don't like to enter the live competitions, but this is a chance for them to enter in another way. We are absolutely going to be eliminating one of the categories. As much as I like the concept of fantasy flowers, in the last 3 conventions, we have had a grand total of 5 entries in that category. 5. If you do the math, that means one year, one person won because they were the only person who entered. So I think it's time to retire that particular category. So we are currently kind of throwing around the idea of trading it out for something else. I don't know what that's going to be yet. And I'm going to be looking to you. I don't want to make it a marquee category. I don't want to make it a mosaic category. I just don't. I'm hesitant to do trends because, I just don't know if they're going to be around or not. I still think those are considered trends. The organic trend has been around now for 5 or 6 years, and that's why it's got a category. And maybe down the road these will be added, but for now I'm not really there yet with the whole notion of making them a separate category. So we're probably going to be swapping that out. Paul Teal, weaving. I don't know that I want to put weaving in there because weaving is often covered in the non-round sculpture category. That's already something that's there. And then the question becomes, do you count, you would have to do, because, okay, see, Paul's thinking twisting. Linking balloons is absolutely also weaving. So how do you define that? And then, of course, then you run into the whole notion too about, well, what about the people that do uninflated balloon weaving? And then, so I'm not going to create 3 categories for one competition. Hannah, that's funny. We should do an Amazon category. No, it will not be a one company category. What about outdoor or yard displays? That's a possibility. That is a possibility. Yeah. So basically what we're going to do is throw it out there to the universe and see what you guys think about. What are the existing categories? The existing categories, I don't know if they're on the website right now or not. There are currently 32 categories. Excuse me. And they range from entrance to like arch to column to centerpiece to delivery piece to buffet centerpiece to organic display to sculpture to non-round to round sculpture, non-round sculpture, linking sculpture. And then there's themes, best teen event, best wedding, best this, best that. I will say that's another one too that surprisingly gets a very low turnout, is the wedding category. We don't really get a lot of entries in the wedding category. In fact, there was one year we got 2 entries for weddings. And it was a lot of people were like, why did that one win? Well, there were 2 entries, So yeah, You know what? That's Hannah. That's a great question. What I'll probably do is get the categories. If they're not on the website now, I'll get them back on the website so that you can review them, and then we'll take it from there. So, um, yeah, like I said, I'm not super wild about making, like I said, a marquee or a mosaic category yet, because technically speaking, a marquee, if you the Nieve sisters are the ones who basically invented that particular style, and they call them deliveries, and there is a delivery category, so they would technically be there. Um, so, um, Melissa Vincent, you could combine wedding with bridal shower. Yeah, you absolutely could. Um, yeah, you absolutely could. I would argue that you certainly could combine them. Um, because right now there's a baby, I think baby and gender reveal are together. Um, so yeah, you could absolutely do, you know, and what's funny is that, well, not really. I don't know that you could do that. You could do what you could. Well, no, because we already have that too. Sorry, never mind. We have stage and backdrop category. So, the idea of the whole round circles and the organic and blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's technically a backdrop. So, yeah, that would qualify for those. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with what we do. Is there a distortion category? No, there's not a distortion category, and there's probably not going to be one because again, I don't think there's a distortion category. And again, no, because I've seen that get, in my opinion, really abused in the twisting world. For example, there is at Twist and Shout, there is a non-round or uninflated category for sculpting. And what I get frustrated by is like, there'll be a sculpture of a soda can, right? In the non-round category. And then you find out it's a balloon wrapped around a soda can. That to me is not, that's not the point of the competition. That's just me. So, what about wearable art? Wearable art is really not a decorator thing. But actually, though, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's time. We've been doing more and more of that. There's been a lot more costumes done. Well, I mean, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for us to have a costume category. Um, the costume category has always been more of the entertainer world, but more and more decorators are starting to do it. So maybe that's worth exploring too. Um, okay, so no categories for floaties on the competition page. Okay, great. Thank you, Dina. I appreciate that. We will address that later this week. Oh no, Hannah, you're right. Believe me, as someone who makes a lot of linking costumes, I totally get it. But up until recently, we didn't. That was considered more of an entertainer deal. But now that more and more decorators are doing the linking costumes, yeah, it makes sense to explore it. Um, yeah, so there you go. Okay. So yeah, so just throw that in the back of your head. Think about that. We'll get to that soon enough. Okay, so let's recap very quickly for everybody for what we got going on. Um, let's see here. So foundation stuff. If you took Melissa's class, if you enrolled in Melissa Vincent's graduation class, you have until Friday for the free replay. Then it's over. Okay, so make sure you get in there for the free replay by Friday. On Saturday, yes, you start the $5 option for those of you that enrolled in the class. Remember that. If you were not able to be there for Jeff's class on Tuesday, the free replay is going on now. Check your inbox. You've got the information as well. And the enrollment for Shannon and Roz's vinyl class, Vinyl is Vital, is coming up, and that is going to be next month. Excuse me, you have until April 18th to enroll in that class. It is $20 if you are pre-registered for Float. If you are not, it's $30. If you're in the forum, if you're a member of the forum, look for their picture with the meme. The discount code is there. If you're not a member of the forum, reach out to me privately, and I will get you the coupon code that you need. But remember, you must be at least pre-registered for Float in order to get that discount. If you're not pre-registered for Float, you do not qualify. Okay, there's that. There should be a category of who can make the best Roscoe. Gee, Teresa. Don't forget, we have a contest going on. There's just about a week left to enter. And right now, as it stands, we've got 4 entries in 1 category. So remember, it's best bunny design, best use of a bunny-shaped balloon, and best essence of bunny. If you don't know what I'm referring to, go to the website, to the contest page, and review stuff there. 1 million bubbles registration. Again, give the website another day or two. Hopefully it'll all be corrected. I was told on Friday there was a basic sign up going on now, but apparently there's a bit of an issue with it. So just give it till tomorrow or even possibly Tuesday. Please allow me to remind you, no balloon releases, no political statements, no monetization of your 1 million bubble project. And please be responsible with your practices. Okay. If you're doing stuff out in public, keep up with it. Go back and clean it up. Don't just dump it somewhere and expect somebody else to do it. Okay. As a reminder, once again, Float is going to be producing, I can't believe I said it publicly, Float's going to be producing a calendar. So we're going to have more about that in the coming weeks and ways that you can be involved in it. So just stay tuned. That's coming. And finally, once again, we're going to be dropping the Fantasy Flower category from the Floaty Awards. I will try to get more information on the categories tomorrow or Tuesday. Start thinking of ideas, rack your brain, see what we can come up with, and maybe we'll get it down to where we actually do a vote for the favorite. Okay? So with that being said, there's only one thing left to do. I was specifically asked to wait for the appearance of my co-host tonight. He was complaining that he was very, very tired and he was hoping to be a little more refreshed by now, but clearly that has not happened. What's happening, dude? Say hello to your fans. That was not a hello. That was a yawn. There is the man himself, Roscoe Hennessy Jones. You had no idea he had a middle name, did you? It is absolutely true. Actually, it is apparently, it has something to do with his previous ownership. I believe his previous owner was Hennessy. Because when we got him, it was Roscoe Hennessy. And I said, not anymore. Roscoe Hennessy Jones. And it's true. It is actually Roscoe Hennessy Jones. Even though he is, in all sense and purposes, Alexa's cat. There's no question about that. I'm technically the legal owner. So there you go. So that's how that goes there. Wow. I don't get like nearly this many likes all night long. So now we know where the real money of this show is. Speaking of real money, make sure you tune in tomorrow night for TMI with Teresa Harding. That's right here in the group. Tuesday night, our friend Tony Cooper is back with Tuesdays with Tony. For those of you that have not been tuning in lately, you really should, because Tony is taking a whole new take with his show, and it's becoming far much more of a think tank. It's Tuesdays with Tony's in the think tank, really. So you should tune in and check that out. And remember, it's completely free. No, you don't have to pay nobody for friends. And then, of course, finally, on Wednesday night, the Working Wonders. This Wednesday, I believe they are starting their conversations about social media. So, yeah, I'm excited to see that. I'm not sure what they're not talking about social media because, dear God, we could be here all night long. I think they're going to talk about 1, maybe 2 platforms, to go with and that kind of thing. So make sure you tune in for that on Wednesday. All of those shows start at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So, and on that note, it is 7 o'clock here at the Fortress of Solitude, or 7:03 technically at the Fortress of Solitude. And I'm going to go home and enjoy myself, enjoy the rest of the evening. I hope you guys do the same. thank you very much for joining me once again here in the Floativerse, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.